Welcome back, grade 11s. Let us continue to our third concept, which is reasons for no control over the macro environment. You need to note that an entrepreneur cannot control the components of the macro environments directly. However, when entrepreneurs join forces, they can influence some aspects of the macro environment. Businesses have no control over the macro environment. As a business, we don't have control over this environment because of its components. But there are some of the components that we, if coming together as entrepreneurs, can try and influence those components. The external environmental factors that affect a business are generally beyond the control of the management and change constantly. Another reason is that because these components fall outside the business, that's the reason management does not have control, and they change constantly, which also makes it very difficult for them to have control over. The macro environment factors include economic, demographic, legal, political, social conditions, technological changes, and natural forces which affect business performance and strategies. So you would remember from our pre-knowledge practice that some of the components, they ring a bell when you see them here. So yes, indeed, you're correct. The business cannot have control over these. The business cannot control the politics of the country. The business cannot control the economical changes that are happening in the country. The business cannot control the social factors. It's out of their control. They cannot control technology as it changes now and again. We are witnesses of that, you know, because you like technology, right? The business cannot also control the legal environment, whereby there are laws which the government has put in place. So you see why we say that the business has no control over these environments. It's because of that. Now let's move on to our last concept, which is ways to be involved in the business environments. Entering the global market using the internet to source customers. Surely by now you remember, during the lockdown, businesses suffered a lot. Why? Because some relied on their physical shops, physical businesses, forgetting that they can source customers from anywhere using the internet. So ways to be involved. One of the ways is that the business can enter that global market, find customers from everywhere. Not that you need to only rely on customers that are only here around your business, but making sure that your products are accessible even to the person who's very far away. Initiating bargaining sessions between management and unions. For the business to be also involved in the macro environment, they need to make sure that they initiate bargaining sessions whereby they involve employees. By doing that, they are going to reduce industrial conflicts. Why? Because employees would understand exactly what's happening in the business because they are representatives. They negotiate with them and then they come back and report to them what's happening in the business. And remember, if they are involved in decision making, then it simply means that they are going to be committed to whatever decision that is being taken in the business. Negotiating strategic alliance agreement through contractual processes. Another way to be involved is to make sure that we negotiate strategic alliances by doing what? By having contracts whereby we can be able to use resources of other businesses, not merely competing with one another, but trying to benefit one another, sharing the resources, sharing the infrastructure as a way of making sure that we benefit instead of competing with one another. For instance, there are shops whereby you'd find that with one card, you are able to shop around in many shops. Why? It's because they have an agreement that let's share the customer so that we can be able to share the profit. So that's how they can be involved. Let's move on. Influencing suppliers by signing long-term contracts. This one is a very good one. In order to make sure that you build that relationship with your suppliers, you need to make sure that you sign long-term contracts with them so that you can be at their mercy when getting discounts, when making sure that the materials they give you in time. Unlike if you don't have long-term contracts, then you won't have a relationship. So we need to sign those long-term agreements with suppliers. Knowing government regulations and operating within them. This is very crucial. The business has to make sure that they know government regulations and they comply with them, because it doesn't help if you know the regulations but you don't comply, because if you don't comply, there are penalties that you're going to face as a business. And remember, we want to make profit in the business. We do not want to pay fines for non-compliance. So that's the way that we can be involved, by making sure that we know the rules and comply with those rules and regulations that were set by the government. Let us move on. Now, benefits of the macro, of being involved in the macro environment. The business can more accurately predict future events, threats, and opportunities that may arise. Now, if we are involved in the macro environment, we're obviously going to do what? We can be able to predict opportunities. We can be able to spot the threats. How are we going to do that? Through continuous research. And by knowing everything that's happening in the macro environment, then we can use it to our advantage as a business. But how can we know if we don't research? We need to make sure that we research. It can protect natural resources and meet consumer needs in a sustainable way. Another benefit is that we can be able to protect our environment by doing what? Reducing, recycling, and reusing. We've seen even some businesses, they've now moved away to making sure that they give their customers receipts after they have bought the products that they have bought in their shops. Now they're doing what? They send receipts via email. Why? They're trying to do what? To save our trees, to save the paper. So we will benefit being consciously aware of the natural resources and preserving them so that our business can continue to be successful. Reduce industrial conflict and increase productivity. That's another benefit that we are going to benefit as a business, because if we initiate bargaining sessions, there won't be a need for our employees to go on strikes, on go-slows, and even us as employers locking them out of the business. Why? Because we would have negotiated before anything. They would understand whatever decision that is being taken in the business. So they won't do that. And if our employees' morale is up, or they are motivated, then what's going to happen? Obviously, they are going to be productive for the business. The business can accurately promote a cause that is a concern to the society. Another benefit of being involved in the macro environment is that as a business, we can be able to promote a cause that is a concern in a society by doing what? By making sure that we initiate those CSR programs, making sure that we improve the skills of the unemployed people in the society, making sure that we give back. It can be in the monetary form whereby we donate to charity organizations, making sure that we assist our employees, those who are infected or affected by HIV or AIDS. And with that being said, grade 11, that brings us to the end of our lesson. And remember to stay tuned into our channel. Whatever it is that you learned today does not nullify yesterday, but it makes tomorrow better.